Homie, you crazy. Homie, you crazy. Homie, you crazy. Homie, you crazy.
Bougiewild, 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 Bougiewild. I said the universe gave it to me. I said the universe gave it to me. Bougiewild, 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 Bougiewild. I said the universe gave it to me. I said the universe. Bougiewild, 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 Bougiewild. I said the universe gave it to me. I said the universe gave it to me. Bougiewild, 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 Bougiewild. I said the universe gave it to me. I said the universe gave it to me. Bougiewild can't be boxed. I'm free to. Bougiewild, Bougiewild, Bougiewild. I said the universe gave it to me. I said the universe gave it to me. Bougiewild, 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 Bougiewild. I said the universe gave it to me. I said the universe gave it to me. Bougiewild can't be boxed. I'm free to be me. I'm living life, creating legacy. I'm living my dream. They call me extra. They say I'm doing too much. I'm just bougie wild. Cause I'm classy with some style. Bougie wild, 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 bougie wild. I said the universe gave it to me. I said the universe gave it to me. Bougie wild, bougie wild, bougie wild, bougie wild, bougie wild. Hello, you guys, and welcome to another episode of Transparent Table Talk. I am your host, Bougiewild. You guys, I am so excited about this episode, and let's get into it. Transparent Table Talk is a platform where people are willing to speak about their personal life from a humble, transparent, and a vulnerable place. The purpose of the show is to bring awareness to topics that society does not discuss that got people suffering in silence due to shame and blame. The vision is to create a place for people to have conversations without fear of judgment. We're also having conversations with people that I wish someone would have had with me because the goal is to inspire and empower to make a choice to live a happy life. This mission is to heal this hurt world by showing people that we all go through the same things. We have a choice to be reborn and live in the spirit. You guys, tonight I am so excited about our guest. Let's introduce our guest. Have you ever met a woman who lives with so much energy and conviction to express her best for good that she radiates that to everyone around her? Trang Nguyen is that woman, and she is passionate about having enriching conversations with those who share the same vision. After experiencing an external crisis in her mid-20s, leading Trang to leave behind an 8-year psychotherapy career. She now coaches and speaks to women to help them fulfill their potential in career businesses that align with their heart's purpose. Trang believes that when enough individuals are thriving, then humanity would thrive, and then the world can thrive for all forms of life and future generations. Train is reaching 10,000 women via the Aligned Performance podcast and highly active social media platforms. She runs online courses, events up to 3 days, and does speaking engagements throughout the year. Some of her speaking highlights have been her international talks, the Ops Psychotherapy Conference, and presenting to the Belgium company Smart Education. Let's welcome Train to Transparent Table Talk. Hey, Train!
Yay! What an introduction. I had a huge smile on my face that whole time. I was like, I love this. I'm so stoked to be
Awesome.
here.
The name of this episode is Navigating a Painful Quarter Life Crisis. Now, let me just say this before we get started. Did I pronounce that word right? Psycho? What was I saying?
So it's actually physiotherapy.
Girl,
But
I'm
the
like,
reason,
I should have asked her that. Okay.
you know what? It's totally understandable because it's called something different over there in the US. For
Okay.
you, it's physical therapy, but in Australia, it's physiotherapy. So it's confusing. I get that.
Oh. See, we live and we learn. That's why I'm transparent table talk, y'all. We ain't got no shame. We here to learn. We're here to grow. So today, what brings you to transparent table talk?
Oh, where do I start with this? I think a great place to start is exactly what you said before, like wishing that I had people and support networks to support me through certain times of my life where I felt so alone. And something that I've experienced, and it was in the introduction, my quarter life crisis, it's something that it was so new to me. I was so alone, but I know that I'm not the only one who experiences that. I know that. I know so many people. Ever since I experienced it, I've talked to so many people, and it's like, oh my gosh, so many individuals go through this as well. So that's why I would love to share and shed light on this on the Transparent Table Talk.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So tell us about your crisis that you went through that you want to share with our audience.
All right, let me tell you the story. So if I take you all the way back to when I was in school and my upbringing, it was a very academic, very, career focused upbringing. And I know that this is something that probably quite a few people can resonate with. So the narrative was finish school, go to university, get a stable job, stick with that job, make good income so that you can support your family. That was the narrative. So that's what I did. I finished school. I went to university and I studied physiotherapy, physical therapy over there in the States, and started working. Generally, I was comfortable, I was doing pretty well, and I was generally happy. Until one morning a few years ago in my mid-20s where my quarter life crisis started. And by the way, I say crisis, but it's actually an awakening. I look back at it now and it has opened up so much for me and for others. So I do want to mention that. Yeah. So this particular morning, let me share this story. This particular morning, it's not going to be what you'd expect. I went out for an early morning run. And when I stepped out onto the sidewalk to begin, I hear a crunch. And I'm like, what's that? What's going on? I look down and I'd stepped on a snail. Now, this isn't the first time that I've stepped on a snail before, but for some reason, this particular morning, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And as I was running, I couldn't help but feel guilty that me living my own life, doing my own thing, I'd caused an effect on something outside of me. In this case, I'd killed something.
Right.
So I started thinking more about that. And as I ran up a hill and looked over the neighborhood and saw the sunrise, it suddenly hit me. Like it was like a veil had been taken out from in front of my eyes. I started to see the bigger picture of how my lifestyle in so many ways was already neglecting different forms of life. And that got me thinking over the coming months. I started to see more ways that my life had an impact on the world around me, like whether it was the plastic that I was using or the clothes that I was wearing. And like this is something that I'd already known. Yeah, everyone is aware that their lifestyle choices have consequences, but it never actually emotionally hit me until now. Like I never actually emotionally cared until now. And I started to see how I had so much power as an individual, yet I was still so insignificant. I was still so small, so helpless. And this sent me spiraling. Like I started to resent the role of humanity on its devastation on the planet. And it got to the point where I was going into work and teaching people how to do squats in the gym or how to do like wrist exercises. And I was like, this isn't enough anymore. I feel like I need to become more. I feel like I need to do more. And then that is what created this quarter life crisis / awakening, because I started to feel so alone. Like everyone around me was talking about, growing their career and continuing to climb the mountain. But here I was like feeling like no one understood what I was going through. And I wanted to make a change in my career, but I didn't know how it would be perceived, whether other people would judge me for it. Like I had so many fears. But on the other side of that, a year later, when I decided to make that decision, when I realized that nothing else mattered, the main thing that mattered is me living my truth, me living my purpose, no matter what other people think, no matter how scary it feels, that is the only thing that matters. So this was a whole experience. It turned my entire life around. But the first thing that really stood out to me that I want to share is that it all started with me stepping on a snail. And that just shows that it's the smallest things in our life that can create the biggest change in our life. It's just up to us to stop and to, reflect and to activate that change. And I think that's such a big thing for me to remember now. And I hope that is going to be helpful for others as well.
So what it sounds like is that you realized you were conditioned and you had conformed to the social norm. As you mentioned, this is the narrative of get an education, go to the university, get a good job. And so what I hear is that I didn't know who I was. I wasn't living my truth. I was not living out my passion. I didn't know who I am as far as my identity. I'm living from that mindset of this conditioning, what I was born into, what I was told to do. Yes, I'm living the dream. We call it the American dream. So I'm sure you all call it the
Australian dream.
So
That's
I'm living this dream, but I'm not fulfilled, right? I'm not fulfilled. And I'm feeling like it's something more. And when I started this podcast, because I went through this exact thing you described, but I went through it at an older age. I went through this a year ago, in which I had my awakening as well. And I realized I had conformed and I was living the American dream based on go get your education, go get the nice home, go get the car, live based on the social norm, whether it's socially or our cultural norm. and this is what we're supposed to do. So we're kind of programmed, right?
Mm,
So you're living this life, but you're not content.
mm,
You're not content. You're feeling like it's something missing. Like, what, I have all the things. I've checked all the boxes,
yep.
but I'm still feeling lost. So when I see you sit here with your passion and I see you express what you went through, I didn't know I was gonna get this. And that's what I'm hearing more of from the guests. They're wanting
Mm,
people to know, you guys, it's okay to step out and face your fears, doubts, and insecurities and create the life you want. Because when you realize we are all creators, we all have this energy in us, through us, as us, to become that best version of us that it is that we want to do. Because at the end of the day, this is what it's about. It's about living in this purpose, walking in this purpose. So to hear you say that, to be able to relate when you say that I was so lonely and I was afraid, but now that you're walking in it, can you see now that since you stepped out and start creating the life you want, you're finding more people that's like you? Tell me what that experience has been like.
mm. That's such a good question because, yeah, as I said before, during this period of my life, I felt so alone. Like I thought
Mm-hmm.
if I broke out of this current path, that
Mm-hmm.
I'd be breaking out from the crowd and I would be alone. That's
Yep.
how I thought it was going to be. I was like,
Yep.
and that's because of what you said, right? It's like this conditioning. I had this pathway almost imposed onto me because my
Mm-hmm.
family, my the school that I went to, family, friends, they were all such professionals, and that's all I knew. That's all I knew. So, oh, what? Like finishing uni and then not continuing with that line of work anymore and changing directions and doing something completely different? Why would you do that?
Right.
And that's what I thought. That's what I thought that that was fact. Like I thought that was truth. But then when I broke out, and this was actually part of the process of breaking out as well, I started to find some of my people out there.
Yeah.
You know, other they exist, they are out there in this world, and I can't believe I didn't think that because there's 8 billion people in the world. So how
Right.
can how can you not have your people out there?
Yes.
Um, and it was actually, in fact, connecting with an incredible life mentor who I was working with at the time, and then all the other beautiful people in that mentoring group who supported me and walked the path with me as I made that change.
Yes.
So it actually happened. That was actually what was the yeah, that's what brought me over the line to create that change. But then as I went into the world of performance and
Mm-hmm.
mindset and purpose coaching, naturally I started to attract more of those people. I started to see them everywhere. Like when you drive a new car out of the car dealership and suddenly you see that car everywhere and you never even saw that car before. Well, that's what happened. Like I started to meet and connect
Right.
and
Right. Great reference. Great reference. Yes.
and
Yes.
like even you, Yolanda, like just not by coincidence, but not coincidence because
Yes.
we are walking a path and we're attracts different people in our life. Yeah, I've just started meeting the most incredible people. Like even I went to Bali last year. It was so random, but it wasn't random. I got seated at a table that someone else was sitting at because the cafe was full. And I didn't actually talk to her, but she overheard me saying something to my partner, and she was like, "Oh, can I just mention something? Like, I love that you said that. I really agree with that life perspective." We started talking, and now we're like lifelong close friends.
Yes.
And it's just like you create this magical pathway when you follow your heart, I believe, because
Yes.
that's what I've experienced.
Yes. Yes. That is so true. And I admire you for stepping out and creating the life, because at the end of the day, we are creators. We are creators. And from my perspective is that we are balls of energy, and we have the power in us, through us, as us, to create the life we want by facing our fears, by going after what it is we want. Because that inner spirit, that spirit that's in us, that same energy that's in you, that's in me, it's in all of us. If we're not in tune with it, if we're not designed to do what it is that we're meant to do and what we're passionate about, what is living all about? Like, what is it really about? Like, what's the purpose here? What I mean, if we are not designed to go create the life that we want, what is our existence for? Because we have a choice to create a legacy. And that's what I tell people. I said, I'm going to live on through the people I meet. It's the relationships, but we get so caught up as a society to think it's about the title, to think it's about the possessions, to think it's about, the career. But what about the relationships? You are from Australia. I'm
Yeah.
Mississippi. We're having this conversation. How amazing is that? How, like, like, feel you when you smile. You all the way on the other side of the world. But this laugh, girl, this energy, it just make me tingle. Seriously, I'm so excited. I'm so happy to have you on this show, just to experience this conversation with you. So tell me, like, you had this that I stepped on this snail. So what has life been like walking in it?
Yeah, it's been a journey, that's for sure. At the start, I'm going to share that, yeah, it did feel like I was taking one step back at the start, because I pivoted everything, right? I left behind a career that I had been pursuing for 8 years. I rebranded my business. I felt like I was starting from ground zero. But also at the same time, I do want to say it wasn't. Like, I had so many skills, so much experience, so many connections that I had already built from my previous career. So it wasn't from ground zero, but it felt like it. And I remember there was a time, about a week or so after I had rebranded, and I had a couple of clients who I was already working with, and they messaged me and they were like, "Hey, Trang, like, love what you're doing, but it's just not for me. I want to cancel our membership together." And I remember that felt like that, tore my heart up. And I knew logically that I'm not for everyone. You can be the juiciest peach in the world, but there's still going to be someone out there who doesn't like peaches.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So I knew logically, but in the moment, I still felt that weight of, what do they think of me? Like, are they judging me? And I just felt that loss of clients, going in different directions. So yeah, initially there was a loss, and there was loss in revenue, and there was a lot of emotional turbulence for me, even though deep down, I knew that this was the right thing for me. But then over the next year, things started to blossom, because the cool thing about loss is it creates space for more.
Yes, tell it.
Yes. When I let go of everything that was no longer aligned to me, right? Whether it was clients, whether it was work, whether it was daily things that I was using my time and energy for. When I let go of that, it created space for everything that was aligned for my path going forwards. And that looks like new, incredible clients. That looks like new, beautiful friendships. That looked like increased revenue and growing my business bigger than it ever been before. That looked like me with so much fulfillment that I didn't even know that that level of fulfillment existed. I remember after I ran my first retreat, it was a 3-day retreat. I had just transformed the lives of these beautiful women. And I sat on the beach the day after and I started crying. And I wasn't crying of sadness, I was crying of happiness.
Yes.
I'd never cried of happiness before. Like, I didn't even know how to cry of happiness. Like, I never even felt that level of emotion before. But this quarter life crisis that woke me up to my truth. That was the first step. And then me embracing that truth and pursuing that truth opened up so, so much. And that's the point. It's not a straightforward journey, right? Like, as much as I wish it would be, it isn't. But on the other side of the pain is the most beauty and the most incredible life that we'd never would have otherwise experienced. And that's why I say to myself now, anytime I feel a pull or anytime I feel any inkling towards a different path, towards a certain pursuit, I need to listen to that. Because there is going to be short-term pain to create that change, that emotional turbulence, all of those things. There's going to be short-term pain, but it's going to end long-term suffering.
Woo, I like that. I like that. Because you know, the reality is growth does hurt, right? We all know that anytime we go through growth, it does hurt. And one thing you mentioned, the change. The number one thing that we have to change, because I can relate. You just described my life. You know, you described my life, and it seems like the people that are signing up for Transparent Table Talk, you all are talking to me because I made the change. I went through the transition, and what I had to do was train my mind, speaking to those that's out there, that's feeling this pull, that has this desire. What can you acknowledge that it required us to retrain the way we think? You know,
Yeah.
we had to face our fears, doubts, insecurities, train those thoughts of limiting beliefs into I can do this. You know, implement a practice, a daily practice, because what happens is we are programmed, so we're automatically, I call it airplane mode. I call it like that default, like when we buy our phones, how it's automatically programmed with those basic apps, right? But then whatever we download on the phone is how the phone is going to operate. So at any moment, we can delete the apps we want off of our phone. And that's what we have to do. I like to use that analogy because that is what we have to do for our mindsets.
Yes.
And like I said, the way that this podcast is bringing people in, it's like you all are talking to me, because on this journey, this is what I did. Walked away from my 20-year career. Imagine 20 years. Imagine a mother of 4, and woke up one day and said, you know what? I'm quitting my job. You know how many people told me I was crazy? You know how I had to block out the naysayers? Do you realize the struggle I went through with, okay, I'm going to do this. Like you said, I got all of these knowledge, skills, and abilities, but now I'm going out with creating this business for myself. So I can relate to you when you describe your process. And I just want to thank you. Like, I thank you from like the bottom of my heart, because you poured so much into me today. So what do you do on a daily to keep that mindset? Because once you step out here, sometimes our mind can default back. So, what practices do you implement daily to help stay focused?
Yeah, such a good question. And I'm going to absolutely go into that in a moment. But can I even go back to what you just said before, Yolanda?
Sure,
Because I
sure.
think what you said is it. Like, you leaving a 20-year career, mother of four, all these people said you were crazy. And that is exactly what can kill someone's dreams.
Hmm.
Like, that those voices can kill someone's dreams before they've even had a chance to be born. But we can reframe that. And I heard this incredible saying from this man, this philanthropist, entrepreneur, Naveen Jain. And he said it so eloquently. I just have to share. He said, if you are sharing your ideas with other people and they are not saying that you are crazy, then you're not dreaming big enough.
Right, right. You're
And
right.
I love that. I'm like, that's exactly it. Like,
Yes,
we should almost be aiming for other people to tell us that we're crazy, because
yes,
that
yes,
means we get to create an extraordinary life. We get to do big things. We don't just fall into the crowd and blend in with what everyone else is doing, right?
yes.
That's not for people like us. That's probably not for people who are listening or watching this right now.
Right,
So
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. I just wanted to put that in there.
Awesome. I mean, like, just to sit here and have this conversation with someone who understands me, right? That's priceless. That's priceless. I went to a networking event this afternoon, and as an entrepreneur, we have to do a lot of networking, right? I actually have an accounting degree in which I prepare taxes. I do federal taxes, business taxes, help people with their businesses and things like that. So I get out and I promote that, and I'm also promoting Bougiewild while I'm out there, which is, Bougiewild is my trademark, y'all. But so it does require me to get out. And one thing I tell people, you have to believe in yourself when you're an entrepreneur. You have to walk in that room and you have to sell yourself. You have to know that when you reach out your hand and shake your hand, when you tell somebody, hello, my name is, and this is what I do, you can't have an ounce of fear, doubt, and insecurity in you. You are selling yourself. You are your billboard. You're your walking billboard. But to be able to sit down or be around people that thinks like you, it's like you leave like, yes, it's like fertilizer that's being planted in your garden. It's like they're watering you, and it's the sun beaming down on you. So just to have this conversation, to exchange this energy. When I read your introduction, when I tell you I can relate because I'm so extra and I got energy. And just imagine, I'm 45. So you say you in your 20s. So I mean, I can relate, and I'm just so grateful to have these conversations. And I just want to say to anybody that's watching this episode that's afraid of breaking the mold, changing the narrative, stepping out into your truth, being free to be yourself. We are proof. This lady is in Australia and I am in Mississippi in the United States. And we're sitting here having this conversation. She and I parallel in so many ways. She's from a total different generation, a total different country, but we have so much in common. And that is living our truth. That is walking in our purpose. And I encourage people to do that. That's why Transparent Table Talk was created, because we do need to have these conversations from a humble, transparent, and a vulnerable place. We do need to be able to share without any shame or blame. This shift, self-awareness, is happening. You have a right to create the life you want. You have that right. So, my question to you, if you could have a conversation that you wish someone would have had with you growing up, What is that conversation that you wish someone would have had?
Mm, this is exactly the conversation. Understanding, and this actually expands on what you've already said, Yolanda, understanding that you are not only the hero of your own story. Yes, you are the hero of your own story in that you get to go on the journey, you get to go through the challenges, you get to reap the reward. But you're not just the hero because you are also the director of your story as well. You are the creator. You have to also write your story to live. Otherwise,
Yes.
there's no point being the hero of your own story if you're living someone else's story. If you're living your parents' story, society's story, your teacher's story that they wanted you to live, right? And what that means is being aware that at any point in life, there are these invisible lines that we are
Ooh,
constantly living in, like these imposed, invisible expectations and standards and
I call them
norms.
unwritten expectations.
Yeah, unwritten expectations that are within society, the narrative, right? There are all these lines. Don't forget that you can move those lines because it's very easy to just stay within those lines because unless we actually think beyond our thinking, unless we actually go beyond the day to day and actually think big picture, it's very easy to just operate between the lines and feel like we still have freedom. Oh yeah, we can operate between these lines. I can choose this career path or that career path. But no, it's still within these lines. What if we moved the lines completely? We banish the lines completely and we remember we get to do whatever we want in this life. We get to become anyone that we want. We get to do anything that we want. We get to create anything that we want. And that is the conversation that I wish someone had with me.
Awesome. Yes. Because we are creators. It's in us, through us, as us. Because I tell people, I said, this flesh, right? We both have flesh. We're different colors, our hair is different, we from different countries. But you know what? We have the same. This energy. What is it that make our eyes blink? What is it that make my head turn? What is it that makes my mouth move? That's going to leave me one day. So I have a responsibility to this energy that's in me, through me, as me to create. Because we have the power, like you said, we are the director. And just like, my brand, Bougiewild, don't let nobody put you in no box. Be free to be who you are. And that's what's happening. Living within the invisible lines, living within the unwritten expectations, living in the box. Got a lot of people suffering. And we are telling you, it's okay. It's okay to live this life that you want to create. Because can you relate that when you were living the life that was conditioned, it was like something was missing? Did you feel that it was like, yeah, I'm making this money, I got this degree, but it just felt like you weren't content? Whereas like being aligned now, like you said, being fulfilled now, it's a total different experience. Can you expound on it? It's a total different experience.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's completely different. Like previously, I thought I was happy. I thought that this was it for the rest of my life. I thought
Yes.
because I didn't have any other experience to compare it to.
Yes.
So Sunday night, feeling a little bit of Sunday night blues, waking up in the morning, being like, oh, having to drag myself out of bed, right? At nighttime or on weekends when sometimes there was that little bit of a feeling inside my body that, oh, I wish, or if only, or what if I could do and become more.
Yes.
All those little things, I thought it was normal because I didn't have anything else to compare it to.
Right.
But now like every time I think about my life, whether I won the lottery, whether anything, right? This is exactly what I want to be doing. And sure, right? There are mornings where the alarm goes off maybe at 5 a.m. in the morning, and I'm like, oh, like I was having a good dream. Like, why do I have to wake up and leave this warm bed? Sure, there are those moments, we're all human. But like 9 times out of 10, I just have this infinite energy. Like everyone always says, Trang, why are you so energetic? Same as you, Yolanda. Like so much energy, so much drive. And people are like, how do you have that energy?
Exactly. I get that.
Yeah. And it's like, you know what? Where this energy comes from is because I am living in alignment to my heart's purpose. I do what I love. I do what I care about. I do what lights me up from the inside. And that ignites a fire in me that will last a lifetime.
Yes.
Like that is the purpose of life now. That is
Right.
that fire is going to last a lifetime.
Right.
That is infinite energy created by that ongoing fire.
Yes.
It's a completely different experience. And that's why, yeah, if you are asking, if you are wondering, is there more for me? Like, what if I could become something different? What if I could do something different? You are allowed to think that. And you deserve to think that. And you deserve to pursue that. Because we have one life. And actually, I guess some people might think differently, but let's say we have this one particular life.
This right now where we know
exactly.
Let's
this
live
one
now. Yes.
Yes. This life that we are currently living, this is the one chance we'll get at this life.
Yes.
So why not do anything in our power, everything in our power, to make it the best life for us and for everyone else on this planet? All other forms of life, all other human beings, the planet itself. Why not try and use our lifetime to leave the world a better place than how we found it, how we were born onto it?
You are definitely walking in your purpose. I mean, the way you speak, your energy, it radiates. And I mean, you are so inspiring just to sit here and have this conversation with you. Like you said in the initial introduction, me and you could talk for hours.
I know we said that at the start before we started recording. We were like, oh, well, make sure we don't talk for 3 hours in a row because we could.
Because, it's nothing like when you meet someone in which you can feed each other's energy and you can feel each other's energy. I relate the mindset like a garden, right?
Yeah.
And when you think about a garden, you see roses and daisies and tulips and sunflowers. I just feel like you came with a bouquet full of flowers with roots, and you're like, hey, Yolanda, girl, take these and put them in your garden. And I'm like, okay, I got them. And I'm about to go home, and I'm now at home, and I'm digging these holes because I'm planting these flowers in my garden that you've given me, and it's just gonna be beautiful. And and so I'm making that analogy because that's how we have to feed our minds. And that's how I walk around now. People ask me, they say, where you get your energy from? Girl, I'm growing daisies over here. I got a garden of roses right here. I got some tulips over here. You hear me? I mean, just got it's a beautiful garden up there, and I make sure it gets sun every day. I wake up in the morning, make sure I work out and listen to my positive affirmations and my words. Like I tell people, all my portraits in my house got positive affirmations, and just designing this best version of me. I want to thank you so much for coming on Transparent Table Talk. And before we leave, I would like for you to tell our guests what is your experience like being on Transparent Table Talk? What is Transparent Table Talk for you?
Ooh. Firstly, my experience has been utmost joy, utmost fun, and inspiration. From the first moment I came on and we connected, just your smile just radiates so much love, so much
Thank
joy.
you.
I've loved every moment of being on the Transparent Table Talk, and I am really I'm really looking forward to sharing this conversation and really looking forward to connecting. And I really hope that this conversation is going to make a difference for someone out there. And I know it will, but I really hope that, yeah, it's going to touch at least one person and make a difference in that person's life. Because how I see it is we all have the ability to create a ripple effect. And it all starts with one little drop,
Yes.
and that ripple will just get bigger and bigger and bigger. So this is hopefully my little ripple to those maybe in Mississippi, I like from all over on the other side of the world. Hopefully this is
Yes.
going to create a massive ripple effect.
Yes, and it is. We have power. Life and death lies in the power of the tongue, and we have power. We are proof to show that once we believe in ourselves and once we face our fears, doubts, and insecurities and step out here, all things align. All things align, and we get that energy we need to thrive, you guys. A lot of us are conditioned to just survive and designed by default. When you realize, like she said, we are the directors, we are the creators, we have the power in us, through us, as us. So thank you again for being a guest on Transparent Table Talk. Girl, you got me smiling so hard, my jaw, you should have got a fat face. My jaw, like, I have really enjoyed, and I am going to stay and connect with you. I am, because
Absolutely.
I believe, and you know what? I'm gonna pull up in Australia for real, because I got my passport. I'm serious. People tell me, I said, they say, you were for real. I'm for real. Like, we live on through the people we meet, our energy. We live on through each other. That's how we create a legacy and live on. So I'm definitely gonna be reaching out to you, and thank you again for being a guest and speaking to us from a humble, transparent, and vulnerable place about your life. It's been awesome.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Yolanda. I've loved every moment of it. Let's hang out in Australia.
Yes.
And then I'm coming over there as well. We're hanging out.
Yes. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. I'm free to be me, it's what you see in my energy. I'm real with myself, I don't conform to society. I'm free to be me, it's the only way for me.